As I was experimenting, I found out how the wedding cake model was put together. It's quite simple. It's actually two lids, and you just cut the inside of one out, and you hold it above the other ones with supports underneath. That's the only strange thing about it. The others, I actually did it. I made all the models by filming with one hand and making the model on camera with the other hand, so you can see that I'm actually only doing it with one hand. So it proves that it was a one-handed job. And it was absolutely fascinating. It turned out to be much easier than I thought.
Much easier than you thought, huh?
Yeah.
You found the base of the beam ship, as Billy Meier calls them, beam ships, or these alien spacecrafts. You found the base where it was the first object that you thought had a potential for you to start creating your own model as a 17-inch Harco Star container lid, right? How did you find this lid, and where did you find it?
That was bizarre. I was going to order one.
Tonight on our channel, we have a very special guest. His name is Phil Landon. And Phil Landon is an author, a UFO researcher, and an intellectual. And he got involved in the unidentified flying object research back in 1994 when he was at university. At that time, the Billy Meier case was one of the most controversial and famous cases on record. Phil decided to look at the Meier films more carefully and realize that he was only seeing wobbling models. In 2019, Phil got in touch with Billy Meier publicist Michael Horn and told him that he should not be re-promoting this case because it was already been debunked years ago. Horn challenged Phil to replicate the photos and videos using his own techniques, his own models. Phil accepted the challenge. He accepted the challenge, and he successfully duplicated Billy Meier's photos and videos, and he's here tonight to tell us his incredible story. Hi, Phil. It's nice to have you here tonight. This is going to be more of an informal talk. I'll be asking some random questions along the way during our conversation, and hopefully we get to cover everything. We understand this is a very extensive subject. There are so many details to it. But first, how did you get involved with in this case, the Billy Meier case, and how did you get involved with Michael Horn? Can you go over that?
Yeah, sure. I studied the case as part of a sort of research that I was doing on UFOs and anomalies in general when I was at university. In fact, most of my life I've done that anyway. And I came across their case in 1994, but dismissed it when I actually bought his videos, the films, and analyzed them and found that they were probably wobbling models and that they could all be replicated as such. And I just left it. Then later in 2009, I saw the cases being re-promoted online, on YouTube especially, and I thought, has anyone reproduced it to this date? Because the fans of the case want people to reproduce exactly what was done in the first place. And I wanted to see if anyone had actually done that. And it turned out there was Cal Korff, who had done some replicas, minimal, but very good. He actually went to Switzerland to the original sites. I was impressed by that. And there was IIG West, who was the independent investigations group in California. And they had some replications as well that were okay, but nothing was exactly like Meier. And I know his fans want to see what he did specifically replicated. And it turned out no one had actually done that.
Right.
So I thought, if I make the wedding cake model, the wedding cake UFO, the famous model with all the balls all over it that he made, apparently, if I do that with one hand and prove that it can be made, I'll send it to IIG West. I told them this. They said, yeah, that'd be great. We'll take the pictures. I also got in touch with Michael Horn and asked him why he was promoting this case, just to see what response I'd get.
Right.
And he came back suggesting that the case was real and he has proof. Mm-hmm. So when I challenged him and actually showed him some of the issues in the case have actually been found out. For instance, some alien women that Meier was supposed to have taken pictures of turned out to be on a TV screen. And he came back very sharply at me, Michael Horn, suggesting that IIG West had said officially that it was an easily reproducible hoax.
Right.
And therefore, the people of the case challenged IIG West to reproduce something. So they did, but in California. And there was nothing specific to the case they reproduced. It was just general UFO pictures with a model. And he quoted that at me, Michael Horn, and said, he bets I couldn't do any better. So I thought, well, if I make the wedding cake ship and send it to IIG West, they'll have it to take pictures of, and I will have proved that it's easy to make with one hand with household objects. And it's the most complex model that is involved with the Meier case. So I thought, if I can make that one, I can make all of them anyway. It suggests you can make any of them. So I did that, but IIG West said they'd like me to take the pictures because I did such a good job on the model.
Right.
And that was how it started, basically. Yeah.
Right. How you started. So you basically recreated these models using only one hand, right? One arm. So you hold your arm during the whole process. You hold your arm, and then you were creating these, replicating these models, the Billy Meier models. How was that experience, Phil, when you were doing that? How was that? Can you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, it was actually really interesting. I didn't realize how easy it was to make UFO models that looked really good. So as I was experimenting, I found out how the wedding cake model was put together. It's quite simple. It's actually two lids, and you just cut the inside of one out, and you hold it above the other one with supports underneath. That's the only strange thing about it. The others, I actually did it. I made all the models by filming with one hand and making the model on camera with the other hand, so you can see that I'm actually only doing it with one hand. So it proves that it was a one-handed job. And it was absolutely fascinating. It turned out to be much easier than I thought.
Much easier than you thought, huh?
yeah. Far too easy.
Simplicity, it's always the best things are always simple. You know, simplicity is always the best.
Yeah. Right.
You found the base of the beam ship, as Billy Meier calls them, beam ships, or these alien spacecrafts. You found the base where it was the first object that you thought had a potential for you to start creating your own model as a 17-inch Harco Star container lid, right? How did you find this lid, and where did you find it?
That was bizarre. I was going to order one from Harco Star Limited, and I had trouble with their website. There was something wrong with their website, so I was a bit iffy about that, and I thought maybe I won't be able to do it. But within 2 days, I actually walked my mother's dog around the corner from her house that I was staying in at the time, and I walked past a warehouse with a forecourt, and there they were,
right,
standing in the forecourt with their container lids, so they were complete, and there were two of them. And I saw them there, and I looked around the corner, I saw more, and there was some lids stacked up against the wall, just discarded. And I went in and had a word with the people who ran the company and asked them if I could have any. And they said, yeah, you can have as many as you want. So all of a sudden, I took that to be providence, and I thought, oh, all of a sudden I've got as many as I want. I don't have to buy it. I don't have to worry about it.
You don't even have to spend any money on it. Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I had them, and I started experimenting with them. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. That's for the what is it, the wedding cake UFO, right?
Yeah, that's right. That was because that's the one I wanted to make. Yeah, and it just so happened it was around the corner. How strange.
Yeah, how strange, right?
Yeah.
How many there's multiple types, or they're being called variations of these alien spacecrafts, right? Or these beam ships. As Billy Meier calls them, beam ships. How many variations were you able to duplicate?
4 I was able to remake.
Okay.
That's the wedding cake, the very unusual looking one with an ornate top. It's got these 2 wings on it at the very top. It's a normal saucer, but it's got quite a busy sort of looking top to it.
Right, I see.
It's a famous one. And there's a more simple one that he took photos of initially. That was very easy to make. And then there's a very small ship, which is literally 2 plates opposite each other with a lid on top.
With a lid on top, that's it?
Yeah, basically, that's all they are. They're very, very simple. Yeah.
Wow, so interesting. It's so hard to talk about all this because there's so many details, but we're gonna try to break it down slowly. Can you go over the landing beam ships and how was that accomplished? There was the landing beam ships. Billy Meier had these amazing films where the spaceship is landing, and you play around with that specifically with that type of model, and then you made it land, and then you were moving it around. How did that happen? How did you were able to duplicate that motion? Can you go over
It's very easy. I'll tell you in a second, but I have to say that Billy Meier only ever took photographs of what he said were landed beam ships. And all he's done there is he's got his model about 2 or 3 feet in front of him on the floor or on something, and he's taken a picture close up with the background. So it merges with the background, the object, and it looks like it's a landed object on the floor. That's when you photograph it. The films I made, I wanted to do better than he did with his films, basically, and tried various things to see what would happen. And one of them was, if you suspend a model and you move to the left or to the right, keeping your camera pointing at your model, the background will change relative to the model. So when you then look back at your footage, it looks as if the model is moving contrary to the background or relative to the background. So it looks like the model is moving. And all you're doing is moving your camera like that or like that.
Oh, wow.
So you get this relative motion as a result on the print. And when you watch it back, it simply looks as though the object is moving by itself. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I've just hit my cord there. Yeah,
right. So that the motion that you were able to duplicate, was it experimental, most of it? How did you, because you did you have any experience with cameras and professional equipment like that, cameras and how to edit videos or how to, develop any films of that sort? You didn't have any experience with that?
No, I've made tapes and done video recordings before, but nothing of any technical nature.
Right.
Yeah. I was going to say, just to add, if you want to make something look as though it's landing one of those ships, instead of going left and right with your camera, if you go up with your camera and keep it pointing at the model will look like it's lowering in the frame. You see? So
right.
if I can see in the frame, because I was using a digital camera to make those films, and on the back of the camera you can see what you're filming. So I was looking at what I was filming, and I was raising it to make the object lower in the distance, as it were, and make it look like it's landing. Then you simply hold your camera steady, and then the object is stationary.
So it's pretty much everything, right? It has to do with the camera, and it has to do with the perspective, right? The motion,
that's right.
Perspective.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, what type of camera did you use? And can you go over that in a little bit more detail, because that's a keynote there. It's very important that the camera plays a very important role in the development or in the duplicating of these models. Can you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I used 2 main cameras. One of them is the same camera that Billy Meier used. It's the 1972 Olympus 35 ECR, I think it's called.
35 millimeters, right?
Yeah. And it's a rangefinder camera from the early 70s. It's very nice. The shutter is very, very smooth. There's no clicking or movement, so you can just hold it and just press it calmly and softly, and you get a picture. The shutter inside is beautifully balanced. It's a very nice camera.
It's a very nice camera.
Really nice, yeah.
Yeah.
But the digital camera I used was just a regular standard digital camera to take a photograph camera. I think it was about 6 megapixels at the time. It's a few years old, that one. And it has a screen on the back. You can take films. It can hold 15 minutes worth of film, that one. So I was using that initially. Then I realized that a couple of Billy Meier's movies really required me to have an HD camera. I investigated buying the same movie camera that he had, but I couldn't find them. I don't know what the make was. I couldn't find it, basically. So I thought, well, I'll have to use digital cameras. It's the same thing, you know. You're just filming a model. That's what counts. It's not the fact that it's digital that counts.
Right.
But the second digi camera I used was an HD camera, and I needed that because the model is very far in the distance in the movie where the mountains are in the background. He takes a film where the model goes up in a zigzag. That has to be done with HD because I couldn't get enough detail with the previous camera. So I simply bought an HD camera, which is just a normal sort of home movie type camera, you know, a modern one, nothing special, not my mobile phone.
The mechanics of it, you have strings attached to trees, and you did a very organized the motions of these objects, and you worked on using different strings attached to different trees and different what you call could be levers. I don't know what kind of equipment you use, but was it hard to make this, Phil? Was it hard mechanically? How did you do this? I mean, how did you achieve this? How do you achieve this replicating these models using these strings? Because when you see a Billy Meier's photos and videos, you can see that if somebody's working behind it, you know, in the backstage, sort of, if somebody's doing this, we see that maybe somebody's helping him out to doing all this. He's not by himself, right? Because it's so sophisticated, so clever. And if we think about it, maybe if this is fake, somebody's helping him out. It's going inside his, a little bit inside Billy Meier's mind, you know, when he made all this. In your own experience, was it hard? How did you achieve this by yourself, just by yourself, using one arm? Can you go over that?
Yeah, sure. It turned out to be a lot easier than I expected. I was actually worried that I might not be able to do certain things because he has eight movies, and they're all unique, but only 3 of them show significant movement. All the other ones are basically just suspended from tree branches or across from one tree branch to another, and they don't move. And he just films them for a short while. That's it. That's what you get.
Right.
But the ones that have movement are I had to tackle them individually and think about what can reproduce that. And I had to realize that if he did it by himself, he's a man with only one hand, and he has to set this up and he has to film it. Is it possible? So I figured out as many ways as I could to achieve the result that we see in his films, and I filmed all of them.
Right.
And I could tell when I got it by doing that you got maybe 3 possible techniques to do a film, and you do 2 of them and they just don't look the same, and then you do the 3rd one and everything falls into place and it's exactly right, and you even get the answers to why certain things happen in his films as well. When you do that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So Billy Meier must have had that formula after numerous times of experimenting with his camera. You think that happened?
Not necessarily. When you're the one originating it, you can invent anything you like. But if you have to reproduce it, you have to go through techniques and see what was used originally.
Right.
If I was doing this originally, you can see he's used 3 separate techniques for the 3 movement films. One of them is vertically suspended, but he's got another fishing line tied to the outer edge of the hull, so he can pull it and maneuver it around a tree where he gets it to pendulum.
Yes,
so,
right.
Right. The thing is, with that single technique, which is a vertical suspension from a tree branch, you can't suddenly have it suspended between two tree branches and have it go left and right, as it does in another film. Likewise, in that other film where it simply goes left and right at different intervals, it can't suddenly start penduluming around. In other words, every film has a set technique, and it's only that technique, and therefore it's probably a model. So I went about on that premise thinking, well, he's used a single technique that's different for each of the films, and they are all different. The pendulum film is an attachment on the side, so you can control it. The film where it goes left and right all the time is actually two more pieces of fishing line going either way. One of them comes towards you, the other one goes to the tree branch, wraps around the tree and comes back towards you as well. So if you pull on that one, it goes away from you, but if you pull on that one, it comes towards you, and you haven't moved. So you can stay in a very short space and just pull like that, but you need two hands to do that. So I tried it because Billy Meier has a stump. I think it's his left arm cut above the elbow. So he still has something he can use. You could actually wrap a handle round here and hold onto it, and hold the other one and just do it like that. It's the same thing. It amounts to the same thing. It's very easy.
So wow, right? Yeah. So he's kind of a puppeteer doing all this.
Yeah, he's just
pulling the
camera.
Strings, right?
Yeah, he's just off camera.
Of course, off camera.
It'd be so funny just to turn the camera around and see him do it. I kept thinking that.
Yeah.
It was so, because I show myself doing that on purpose, so you can see where I am.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for being with us tonight and showing all that to us. It's a very interesting question that we also have for you, and tell us your opinion about this. How did he fool Jim Dilatoso? How did he fool all the experts? Because they run all these videos and they didn't find any strings attached, according to them, right? The analysis that went there, the sizes of the objects. Jim Dilatoso studied these films grain by grain. He analyzed it in with very professional equipment. How did Billy Meier fool them? How did he fool all of these guys, all of these scientists? Can you go over that a little bit? And what's your opinion about it? Your opinion?
Yeah, sure. If you take the sound samples as an example, Meier claimed that the beam ships made these sounds, and they were analyzed in that sound bank that those guys had set up, and they were looking at the changing frequencies and going on about that and thinking, you can't reproduce that with synthesizers. The bottom line there is you need to know what is producing the sound in the first place. If you don't know and you're guessing, anything could be true. It could be 100 different things potentially. Right. And it just so happened that when I started suspending my own beam ship models from fishing line that was tied quite tight, it turned the fishing line into basically a guitar string. And of course, the model hanging on it makes it even tighter. And you've got with a model basically two speaker cones facing each other, attached to a guitar string that can vibrate in the wind. So when the wind blows through, it has to be quite gentle, in fact, because the stronger the wind, it kills the vibration. So you need a gentle wind. And as the wind comes through, the string starts vibrating, and it translates the vibrations to the model, and it actually makes those sounds.
Wait a minute. So, Phil, are you telling me that those sounds came out of the string of that fishing string that you used to pull the models?
Yeah, the string by itself makes its own sound, but it's very weak. So if you put a UFO model on it with the two speaker cones, basically, two surfaces, the two plates, they behave like speaker cones. They amplify the vibrations and turn it into airborne beam ship sounds. Yeah, I've got it every single time.
Would that discovery feel accidental? Did you discover that accidentally?
Yeah, but it happened immediately. As soon as I put my first model up on a horizontal fishing line, it happened straight away. And then I realized that it's going to happen all the time, and it did. Every single time it happened. So you've got those sounds going off while you're taking your photographs, basically.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh my God. Okay, that's
Yeah.
incredible. How did you find those by accident? Those sounds, because they were also analyzed by the experts, and they couldn't tell what it was. And then you, by accident, you've just found that sound, which is exactly the same sound. And there you go. That's the answer. Very simple. Very elegant and simple solution to the big problem.
Yeah. You were asking about the other issues, technical issues that fooled people. I think it was keeping things to a minimum at the time. The fact that it was the 70s, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have the same sort of communication and analytical devices we do now.
Yeah.
The computers they were using were basically like desktop scanners that we have now in every household. But it looks like fantastic equipment in the Meier films when we look at their analysis. The metal samples didn't turn out to contain anything interesting as such. They were just groups of elements stuck together. And the photography was very interesting because Meier basically focuses at infinity. So the model, which is only a few feet in front of you, because it's 1 foot wide and it's quite close, it will have a certain blurring on its edges that matches somewhere in the distance. So they end up thinking that the model has the same blurring as that distance, and therefore it's at the same distance, but it's not. It's actually closer, and it gives that effect. Jim Della Toso wasn't looking for any strings in the photographs. Okay. Those people, the problem with their analysis is they're not looking for fakery. They say they did, but they looked for other things like paste ups. They said they looked for model signatures, but Meier had practiced already by then, obviously, and he knows how to take decent photographs. There is a difference. I could go out now and do a really bad photo session, and you'd say, "Yeah, I see that's a model. No two ways about it." I could go out and do another photo session and totally fool you with the same model.
The same model.
Totally fool you. Yeah.
Right. Now the jump, this incredible disappearance of the beam ship. When we see the Billy Meier films, we see the spaceship disappearing on the far distance, and we actually we're in shock to see this the first time that we see it. I saw that when I was a kid, seeing this of the first time when I saw it, seeing this spaceship disappearing, this alien spaceship disappearing, made me immediately a fan of those videos, because when you see that, you start to imagine the most amazing things in your mind about time travel, about how these aliens have this amazing technology, and they showing that in these films. But you have a different perspective of that. Can you go over that, of the jump effect of the disappearing of the beam ships? Can you go over that, Phil, a little bit?
Sure. I don't want people to lose heart and lose faith in the idea of potential time travel and fantastic things. Just because somebody faked it doesn't mean it doesn't exist or isn't real.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Of course.
So
yes.
It's never going to be a statement against that. So his disappearing beam ships are very simple to reproduce. If you look at his camera, he has a very simple switch on, switch off mechanism. That's all he's got. So when he stops filming, his camera has a motor that is still running but going down to a stop. So once you click the button, it starts to stop, and then he actually exposes 3 frames in that process. The last frame that is already exposed is still in the shutter. So if he switches his camera off with the beam ship at a certain place, the camera will wind down to a halt, and it will have an exposed frame in the shutter already. Then when he changes the position of the model, he can switch the camera back on, and you'll get a flash, because there's a sudden recurrence of the motor in the camera is starting to develop the frames again. but the same frame that was in there will be exposed again. It'll be double exposed.
So it's just an on and off to
it's on his camera. It's an on and off thing, and it's basically the same with the digital camera. But you don't bother with the digital camera stopping to film. Obviously, you just run out, you change the position, and then you come back, and then you edit it later.
Right.
So I only had to sort of edit it by cutting that bit out and just gluing it together again. There's no special effects or anything as such.
So the abnormal motion of the leaf or the tree that is in the side, you see the tree when this is appearing, that abnormal motion, he explained this by sort of the spaceship is creating some sort of magnetic or electromagnetic wave around it, and that's why it's doing that. But it's more logical to think like the way the things that you're explaining right now. He's turning on and off that camera, and that's why we see that leaf or that tree not moving in the same at the same speed, at the same rate. It has a different rate of motion there. That explains it. That explains it really well. Phil, there were some speculations about the tree. Some people were saying that tree in one of the films is not the same tree as on the other films. That this tree had something strange there, that the size of it, something fishy was going on there with the tree. Can you go over that? Did Meier use multiple trees for this experiment, for this, for producing or, creating his, these videos? Did he do that? Did he use multiple trees? Can you go over that, Phil?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he used the same tree. He grows small trees on his plantation or farm. Cal Korff verified that, and he's used the same tree. It's about 3 foot high, 3.5 foot high, and it's in a pot. If you look at his photographs, you can see the base of the tree is never visible. In my opinion, he just moves a small tree around. It's in its own pot. It's
the same pot, so he moves a little tree in a pot everywhere.
Yeah,
he starts shooting in different places.
I think every time he shot with that, he used vertical suspension. There's a sequence of 10 photographs in a park where it's very cloudy in the background. It's that sequence, the one with lots of clouds. And I think he used vertical suspension even in that because it's far away from the camera enough not for the line to show up.
I see.
The line doesn't show up on the camera most of the time. If you're at a good distance and especially when the sun comes out, the line literally disappears. By the way, literally gone. You can't see it with your eyes.
Right, you can't see it, right? Yeah.
No, it just disappears. Yeah.
Yeah. When we see this. Yeah, when we see this, the beam ship circling around the tree, and we see that tree far in the distance, and then we see the wedding cake beam ship kind of stationed on the tree, around the tree. Is he using the same tree far in the distance and the same tree on this other photograph where you can see the wedding cake and you can see kind of like landing on top of the tree? Is that the same little tree he's using everywhere?
In my opinion, it's the same tree.
Your opinion,
every time, yeah. You can turn it round. It actually has a signature little branch on it and a certain cut to it. It's almost like it's got its own head, so you can tell it's the same tree in all the films.
Oh, so right?
Yeah, he might just turn the tree a little bit to fool your eye.
Yeah, I see. Right. So there is a pattern, or there's, like you say, a signature on the tree that if you pay close attention to it, you're gonna see this the same tree that he's moving around in a pot. Yeah. Wow, interesting.
With the wedding cake, that's very different. He never suspended the wedding cake ever. What you do is because it's a Harco Star container lid. If you take the rim of the container that it's the lid from, and you cut a little piece of it, and you fold it and bend it into a hook, you can actually screw that into a tree trunk or a piece of wood, and just dig your piece of wood into the ground with your hook on it, put the wedding cake on the hook, and it will stay there. And the tree hides your pole. I used a separate pole, and I used a tree just to hide that. So you can't see that I've used a pole.
Yes, I see. Very simple, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What about the little cars? Because we see a model. This is huge. You know, the wedding cake on top of the truck or a car. Is that also a model? The little truck. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, you can tell it's a very small model car because it's completely out of focus when he's quite close up to it. The fact that it's out of focus means it's outside the depth of field, and the depth of field is the amount of focus, the distance that is in focus. So if it's in front of it, it'll be out of focus, and it is. So it's a small model car. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a very interesting, right? You have a very interesting photo in a film. I think you made a film where the wedding cake is like in a dark place, and then there's a car at the bottom, and we see this light coming out, and it's a perfect balance of lighting. Did Billy Meier had like a little room where he made all these models with a wedding cake, spaceship, or the beam ship, where he's using these different lights around it, and to make this effect of, I don't know if you've seen that. I mean, you have that photo where you place the wedding cake, and then there's this dim light coming out of the beam ship, and there at the bottom there is the car in there. It's like a nighttime basically. And it was very interesting because if Billy Meier is doing this in a little room using little models, then he's not only doing it outside, he's also doing it somewhere inside a room where he has all these models and playing around with the lights too. What do you think about that, Phil? Is he playing around with lights inside a room, or is he doing this just outdoors?
In my opinion, he did everything outdoors.
Okay.
Everything outdoors.
Everything outdoors.
Everything, yeah, and probably just outside his front door when nobody was around, because he had periods when he was on his own back then.
Yeah,
when he wasn't so famous, he had time to do it, etc., etc. But in the early, 1980 or 1981 with the wedding cake, he took a sequence of photographs in the daytime outside his front door.
Right.
And at nighttime he took them outside his front door as well. With just a few table lamp spotlights. That's all you need.
That's all you need? Really? Okay, right. That's what I'm talking about. Those lights. I'm talking about those spotlights. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Very.
Yeah. Just standard, bog standard office spotlights. That you have on your table. Those kind of lights. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. Those kind of lights.
And the only other thing I used was a fluorescent tube. That's it.
Oh, to make the effect of the spaceship flying on top of the barn or something, and there is this gluey light, right? This neon light on top of the cars, right? Is that the one you're talking about? That night where there's a neon spaceship, like a kind of a, I don't know, I can't remember if it's a long one or a round one, but it's a neon floating on top of the vehicle there.
Yeah. That's actually a technique where you take a photograph through a pane of glass that is reflecting a light over on the side here, but it will reflect in the pane of glass if you look through the glass at the scene and take a picture of the scene through the glass. It will have the reflection on the glass of the thing that's behind you instead. So the photograph will make it look like it's in front of you. But you're actually photographing through a pane of glass.
Oh, okay.
With a reflection on it. That's all. It's very simple technique. Yeah. So any light you have, any shape, that shape will be reproduced in your pane of glass when you take the picture, looking through it. The scene will be there as well, and you can't tell that you're taking a photograph through a pane of glass.
Right. Okay.
See? You won't be able to tell.
Phil, in your opinion, how did he learn all this? Did he learn it somewhere else? All these techniques? Somebody taught him how to do this, because if he's creating all these models, and he's doing it in such a thorough way, very controversial, very, detailed creation of these models. What do you think he learned somewhere? There's not in Germany, but somewhere else. Because he was in other countries when he was younger. Do you think he came back and with all this knowledge of photo shooting and suspension and all these things, did you think he might have learned that somewhere else, or you think everything was just like that? He created that by accident.
Yeah, I mean, personally, judging by what's available concerning his life, it looks like he was taking photographs already in the mid-60s. in India. When he was in India, he was
Right.
faking it. He faked a series of maybe 1 or 2 rolls of film, and he used different techniques. It looked like he was starting to experiment with photography then.
He did
Um,
back then.
Say again. Yeah,
Did
back
he
then
do
in the
that?
60s. Yeah, because he took pictures in India saying this is the first time UFOs visited him, but in fact they're all vertical suspension photographs, all of them.
Right.
Very easy to reproduce. The ones of the UFO are like that, but there are some other techniques he used, like double exposure. He was experimenting with double exposure already then. So by the 70s, he was a pretty accomplished photographer anyway. He certainly knew what camera to buy, because that camera is one of his greatest secrets. Yeah, the camera makes those photographs look as amazing as they do if you use slide film.
So the secret. So the secret is a camera, Phil. You think the secret is a camera? Definitely, right?
Yeah. And slide films, because they're absolutely beautiful. They look 3D slide films, and you use them in the camera. Yeah, amazing results.
Amazing camera, right? Yeah. Who would have thought that the camera was a secret there? It's crazy. Yeah. He mentioned, you mentioned in previous interviews that he is Billy Meier is a joker. He's joking around with the name of the spaceships. Can you go over that a little bit, Bill?
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah. I mean, his name is Billy Edward Albert Meier, which is BEAM. So you have the word beam. And the ships belong to him because they're models that he makes. So they are literally beam ships, literally. So if he says, yes, I take photographs of beam ships, he can actually beat a lie detector on that, because in his mind, it actually is true.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's a little sneaky.
Well, he's not lying about it, right? It's a truth. Yeah, he's not lying about it, because he's giving these names to
That's right. And the sounds as well do come from beam ships.
Also from beam ships, exactly. So he's not lying. He's telling the truth.
That's right. That's right. Also, one very funny side note about the alien ladies that he took pictures of was he said they came from the Dahl universe, and Dahl is spelled D-A-L. The ladies in the photographs turned out to be singers on the Dean Martin show.
Oh, Dean Martin show, right?
Yeah, and on the Dean Martin show, they're called dingalings, which is D-A-L.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so he's playing around with the words, right?
Yeah. So when he says they're from the Dahl universe, what he means is they're from the dingalings, the dingaling universe. So he can get away with that as well, because it's actually true semantically. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's telling the truth. Yeah.
Strangely, yeah.
In a strangely manner, he is telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
You're right.
He also one of the films that we saw recently. He also had these videos about ray guns, some weapons, right? Allegedly, he got it from Semjazi or from one of the aliens. He got these weapons and he's walking around with those weapons. You know anything about that too, or do you know anything about those weapons? How did he go about those things, or?
Only what I've gathered from the usual stuff online, and the film that he took of himself outside his own house, in the driveway of his own house, parading what looks like a child's toy.
Yes, it does.
Right. I bet you he made it himself, because he likes arts and crafts. It seems he's very good with his hands.
With his hands,
very
right.
good. Yeah, he can do. He's very nifty. Mr. Meier is very capable, a very capable man, I would say, in many ways.
Right.
But the gun, he says he pointed it at a tree and made a hole in the tree,
right,
with the laser beam that came out of it, and he actually filmed that. But you don't see anything happen. He just points the gun for a few seconds and pulls it down. And he says, well, he made this hole. And the next piece of film is the hole in the tree, which can easily be made with a drill. Just to get a long drill bit, because it's actually a very thin tree. It's not a really big, thick tree,
Yes.
So if it was a really big, thick tree, that would be more impressive. But the fact that it's just a few inches wide means that he can get a drill bit.
Drilling the trees around.
Yeah, and get a blowtorch and make the outer edge black, and and just make it look like something has happened there.
Something
And
there,
blow,
right?
Yeah, just a handheld blowtorch or something. Easy to reproduce.
So simple
that anyway.
to manipulate.
Yeah.
In your own opinion, Phil, and it's probably one of the last questions we have. Why do you think that he never photographs the aliens? We never see any photos of the aliens, right? I mean, if he got in the spaceships, and if he's telling all this, telling us the truth about this, that he went on board on the spaceships, on these beam ships that he's saying, and he's taking pictures of the spaceships, and he's taking pictures of, he's not only pictures but also videos. Why is he not taking any photos or videos of the aliens, of Sam Jase, for example, right? That he was so intimate, attached to her, according to him. Why is he not being able to do that? Why you think about that, Phil? Why is he not taking pictures of the aliens?
Yeah, obviously, it's impossible to take a movie of his friend Semyazi because she doesn't really exist. So it's not possible to, unless he hired someone to do that. But then you'd have an accomplice all of a sudden, when in fact he did all this by himself, and he has to do it by himself. Okay. It must be by himself. Otherwise, somebody would blab. Somebody would talk. He has been caught out a few times. He was caught out making double exposures at home by one of the people in the group, who actually appears in the Meier films, in the documentaries about him. Other than that, you've got photographs apparently taken on board the spaceships, but he says he took pictures of the monitor screens on the spaceship, when in fact he's taking photographs of a TV screen in somebody's living room, or his own living room, of ladies who are supposed to be from this dull universe. And he says the dull universe. Yeah, and they turn out to be Dean Martin's ding-a-ling singers. Yeah, and all the pictures he says he took on board any spacecraft are in fact from books as well. He took photographs of books. Maybe he put something over the lens to fuzz it or something. Very simple. And stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing there's nothing that stands out about those pictures, and yet he'll also say that it's impossible to take photographs while on board the ships because of the energy in the craft. It ruins the film in his camera. So where did all these pictures come from? He has two stories at once.
Right.
One is loads of pictures from inside the beam ship, but on the other hand, he says it's not possible. So he's contradicting himself.
There's contradiction there.
What he says.
Yeah, totally a contradiction of what he says. Right. And the last question, Phil, that we have for you, it's in general, what is the reaction of the mainstream media after watching your videos and your photos? What happened to the mainstream media and specialists, or people like Michael Horn? What happened after you were able to replicate all these photos and videos? Can you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, the response from over there was basically to completely ignore me in public, as it were. So when Michael Horn did or does lectures to this day, he certainly won't mention me. He doesn't want anyone to go there, obviously, for obvious reasons. It's really a thing about sales now. It seems to have turned into a business, I think. This particular group have spent years and years building up a business, and I've sort of come along and ruined it in a way. I didn't intend to do that, of course. I'm simply interested in showing people that it is possible to fake this, because he has such a massive name in the retro UFO community, let's say. I thought it was very important for that issue to be dealt with, so that people can see how easy it is to be fooled. Because he did fool an awful lot of people.
He did, for sure.
Michael Horn simply doesn't talk to me. There's no point. And when he does, he's very, very terse, if he does. But we haven't spoken for years anyway. And so some of the group have tried to speak to me, and I've been very direct with them. They've even tried to suggest that it's a spiritual message that counts, and therefore all this evidence isn't really the point. But my point is that if they're actually promoting that, then they are in fact saying that their light that shines into the world is due to this evidence, and that evidence turns out to be bogus. Therefore, the person is most likely lying about that. And if he's lying about that, what does that say about his character, as it were? You see what I'm saying? That all of that goes together.
Yeah, of course. These films and these the audio and these photos that Billy Meier took are the foundation of everything that he's doing, including the prophecies. So if that foundation is shaken, the whole structure crumbles down. That's how it works, pretty much. So,
the idea that he's a messiah is extremely dubious as well.
Right.
Because that's what he says about himself. He thinks he's a messiah. Here to sort of save the world with his ideas, but his metaphysics doesn't quite cut the mustard either. It's not normal metaphysics. Mm-hmm. Some of it is. You have to use some truth, but I haven't even bothered analyzing what his overall message is, because there's just too much material.
Too much material, right?
Yeah,
definitely. No, we're not interested on the prophecies at this time. We're just interested in the movies and the audio, and the photographs, of course, right? It's too extensive. I mean, this subject is if we talk about the prophecies, we're gonna open a whole new door in.
Yeah,
but of course,
fortunately,
go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Just to say that fortunately, with a case like that's resting on the shoulders of one person, if you can find one conclusive piece of evidence that says he's actually lying, just one, and there's an awful lot to choose from, then you simply got him, and all the other stuff doesn't really matter if this proves him to be, making things up, as it were.
Right.
So if you catch him on the photographs, which we have time and time again, especially at Hasselbowl, it proves it's a model in a picture. It literally proves his own photograph proves it's a model. So we've actually got him on his own evidence. So in a way, there wasn't even any need to do what I did, but I realized the need to do that kind of thing to show people, because it has a great effect on the perception. If you're perceiving that in terms of being real and fantastical, and all of a sudden you can do that with a model, and look, all the specific things you see are reproducible exactly with one technique. Right. All of a sudden, it just becomes a silly game, In this particular case.
Right.
In this particular case.
In that particular case, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time, man. It's been a roller coaster. Thanks for coming and to the Innovation Group channel. Phil,
my pleasure. Thank you.
Phil Landon has a channel. His channel is called Phil Landon with his name. Is that right, Phil? You have a channel in YouTube too? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just my name, Phil Langdon.
Yeah, you can go there and visit him. He has amazing videos. He's also into the spirituality and other intellectual subjects that are very controversial too. He talks about God, and he talks about the origins of the creation in general, the nature of God. And I've seen some of your videos are very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we can have you at another time to talk about different subjects such as those, in a more philosophical way. That would be great to have you here.
Yeah, I would really, really like that, actually. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And this has been a good experience. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for being here.
I apologize for all the technical difficulties I had. I've never had such difficulty before in my life. my laptop actually overheated in 5 minutes.
Oh, it did. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No worries, Phil. It happens it happens all the time. We have technical difficulties all the time. We go through that every single day. Trust me.
Well, next time I know exactly what to do, so I'll be all right. So we'll be all right there. Okay.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time, and take care, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.